So welcome everyone to the first class for term 3. How wonderful to have you here. It's just fantastic to see so many people. You're obviously raring to go, and that's wonderful because me too. I love bringing this stuff to you, and thank you for joining us and being part of the community. Wonderful to have you here. Tonight, this is a class that we've written in response to a few questions that we've had on starting and finishing a coaching relationship. And I think this is a really wonderful way for you to get your head around all the different layers that go into beginning and ending a coaching relationship. So our topic tonight is the coach's toolbox, and it's starting and ending things strongly with your clients. And this is a very a topic that's very close to my heart because I think it really goes to the heart of the professionalism we need to have in our coaching practices, not only being wonderful coaches but also being great business people as well. So let's dive in, shall we? Oh, and there we go. That's just a hello from me. Nice to see you all again. All right. So the Coach's Toolkit, these tools have been designed to help you become an even better coach. Now, we ran this series, last year, but we're adding to it sporadically as we find through questions from the student body any essential sort of parts of coaching that we feel we've missed out. So thank you to a couple of you guys have sent questions through, which has led us to design this class. This is just a one-off for this semester. These really are the essentials of coaching, and they all provide a building block that you need to incorporate into your overall coaching style. Now, as you know, we encourage you to have your own coaching style. It must be so because coaching has to work for you and, of course, for the client that you're working with. And I guess our intention with these Coach's Toolkit classes is to give you the essentials, and then you can interpret and use them how you need to. So even if you're experienced, I want you to stick with us and review this stuff because it can help you refocus on things that you haven't been focused on previously in your practice, in that attitude of having an attitude of continuous improvement and never-ending improvement. So our challenge is to focus on the tool provided during the week and incorporate it into your daily conversations and your coaching, and notice the difference that it makes. I'm getting some hellos from latecomers. Hello, Beata, lovely to have you. Fantastic to see everyone here. I really enjoyed doing the research for this class the last couple of days because I found some beautiful quotes that I think speak very eloquently about the topic at hand this evening. So the importance of beginnings and endings. Megan O'Rourke said, all love stories are tales of beginnings. When we talk about falling in love, we go to the beginning to pinpoint the moment of free fall. The moment of free fall. The moment of free fall. That's what we say it is. And I think that's a lovely way of thinking about the beginning of a coaching relationship, because our clients, especially if they haven't experienced coaching before, are going to find ways to fall in love with their life all over again and fall in love with themselves all over again. And I think the beginning of a coaching relationship for a lot of people is really where everything changes, where their whole life changes. So I just love this quote because I think it's a lovely way to think of it. This is how important our coaching relationships are. They're not love affairs, but it's where we help our client fall back in love with their life. And I just really, that really seemed to fit beautifully for how life-altering great coaching can be. So remember to think about it like that, guys. It's a beautiful gift. And Ellen Goodman was talking about endings when she said there's a trick to the grand exit. It begins with the vision to recognize when a job, a life stage or a relationship is over and let it go. It means leaving what's over without denying its validity or its past importance to our lives. It involves a sense of future, a belief that every exit line is an entry, that we are moving up rather than out. Isn't that a beautiful thought and a lovely way to think about the ending of a coaching relationship? Guys, when you have endings in your coaching relationships, that's not a failure by any means, and there is no failure, only feedback. But this is not something to shy away from. It's actually a beautiful time where we see our clients blossoming beyond even the extent of needing coaching. And they've found a place in their life where they can go and run with the ball and do what you have been designing with them. And that's just, actually it's my favorite part of coaching, because it means that they're all grown up and they're ready to leave the nest and fly on their own. I just love that part. So I think it's important for us to give those times, the beginnings and endings of our coaching relationships, some real respect and some thoughtfulness about how we approach them, and all of the little parts that we need to incorporate to make them a beautiful, magical experience for our clients as well. Okay, can I just check in with everyone that we're okay so far? There's a lot of you here. Just want to make sure that everyone is with me. Adrian, hello. Great, okay, wonderful, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so the importance of beginnings and endings. All right, now you know, guys, that in my previous life I was an HR manager, and one of the jobs that I had was to interview people for jobs, and that was a big part of my job. And I was always shocked how few people knew that they only had 7 seconds to make the right first impression. It's a well-known fact that in terms of how humans behave and how we judge, how we form judgments and impressions of other people, that we actually only have about 7 seconds to make the right impression before all of the beliefs and filters and values and preformed ideas come into play in the other person's mind, and they make a snap decision about who we are, what we're like, and the kinds of characteristics that we have. So when you think about it in that way, you realize how important it is for us as coaches to make the right first impression, because the fabric of coaching is the fabric of relationship. The relationship that we have with the client is going to be insanely important, incredibly important to the efficacy of our coaching, so, and their ability to transform through coaching. So making that first impression the right way, very, very important. And I want to encourage you guys, coaching is not a place where you get lazy with this stuff. There are certain parts of your coaching relationship that you must always pay attention to. Even if it's the 1,000th client you've had, never get lazy with it. You always need to make sure you're following the right steps. All of the client's expectations are going to hang on their first impression of you. So their expectations as to how coaching is going to be, what they're going to be able to achieve or not achieve through you and with you, how much you're worth, how long they're willing to hang out with you, whether they're going to refer you on or not, all of these things. And most importantly, right, aside from all of that business stuff, most importantly, their belief about their ability to transform through this coaching relationship is going to largely be influenced by their impression of you and their expectations that they form because of their impression of you. Now, coaches, we know that it actually doesn't matter, right? That it's all the client and it's all them, and it all comes from them. They don't know that. Therefore, their unconscious mind will make those judgments and open up or close down possibilities based on how they build rapport with you. So it's going to dictate to a large extent the entire coaching experience, and that's very much from the client's point of view and what they're willing to do and where they're willing to go with you. So that's the opening of the coaching relationship. And on the other side of the coin, the closing of the coaching relationship is also incredibly important, because the recency effect means that the main impression that they'll be left with is the one that they form last. So despite all the wonderful work you do with them over the 3, 5, 6, 10, 12 sessions that you have with them, however many sessions, the main impression that they will be left with as a memory is the last session that they have with you and how you close that coaching relationship. This is the impression that they're going to tell people about, and so therefore, as you can see, a great start and a strong finish are absolutely crucial in a successful coaching relationship. And I want to ask you guys if you've ever had a positive or negative first or last impression from a professional. Have you ever had a time where you were wanting some assistance with something? It could have been a sales type thing, it could have been a medical thing, whatever it was, and you were going to rely on a professional to assist you through that process. What was their first impression like on you, and how did that affect your ability to have a good relationship with them? And what was the ending of that relationship like? Did you leave the door saying, thank goodness I never need to come back, or were you nearly sad to conclude that relationship? And one example for me springs to mind is a friend of mine's going through some medical stuff, and despite the fact that this doctor that she's seeing comes very highly recommended and is one of the absolute experts in the field, and I've actually got another friend who has used him and found him wonderful, this friend of mine had an uncomfortable first session with him, and she's never been good since. So she's spent a huge amount of money working with this doctor on something that requires her participation as well, and it's just not working. And it's really a shame, because his lack of a good bedside manner has really meant that right from the start she never really believed he was going to be able to help her, and it's such a shame. Let's see, Adrian, question here. Talking about the recency effect, is that connected to the importance of future pacing at the end of the session? Of course it is. Yeah, the last thing that the client remembers, Adrian, is the thing that they will move forward with. So simply because of the way the brain works in linear fashion for most people, on a time-based fashion, the last thing that happens in the session is probably going to be the thing they're most easily going to remember. So yeah, the future pacing at the end of the session, very important for that very reason. There's a couple of other reasons as well. Yeah, the recency effect is linked with celebrations and graduations being positive and uplifting. Yeah, good point, Adrian. It's like, you know, that celebration ceremony at the end of that long relationship that you have with your school or university. Okay, so as you can see, for absolutely very solid reasons for your client's benefit, and that's mostly what everything's about, guys, you know that, right? But also for good, solid business reasons, it's very important that we have some structure and some solid things to put in place around the beginning and ending of our coaching relationships. So let's have a look at the first impressions. First impressions last. First impressions are actually where, as I've alluded to, a client opens up their brain and searches for someone who they've experienced before, like you. And if that person, if that was a negative impression, then you have to work doubly hard to make a positive impression. So those first impressions that you make really, really matter. Now, coaches, you're not necessarily going to have a chance to make a first impression in person. In fact, for many of us, our clients are going to find us online in some kind of printed material or over the phone when they give us a call to make that initial inquiry. So what I would like to bring to your attention is how incredibly important it is to have consistency and quality built into all those different ways that you represent yourself. When you are building your website, and I know some of you have your websites up already, you need to think about the kind of impression you're giving the client. What kind of words are you using? What kind of information is there? And is it then consistent with you when they get you in person? Is it consistent with the other information that they're going to gather from you from all over the place? Is it also representative of the kind of quality person that you are? You need to make sure that you have fully incorporated your unique selling proposition, the thing that makes you special, the thing that makes you different, and your character into any online, printed, or even phone communications, so that that first impression that the client gets of you is carried right throughout their interactions with you. So if, for example, you are a very highly specialised coach who works with people for, I don't know, let me think, nutrition, then you want to make sure that that word nutrition and information about food and healthy weight ranges and all of that kind of stuff is consistently across all of your branding, all of the information that's out there about you. Anyone who is friends with me on Facebook or LinkedIn, or you will notice that there's a professional headshot of myself that I use in every single place where I'm represented online. I've taken down personal profile pictures and I only have that one, pretty much consistently, that one headshot. I even use a very similar one in other printed material. Why? Because there's a certain way that my leadership clients and executive coaching clients expect me to look, and I need to make sure that I'm consistently represented that way across every medium, so that when they're doing their research and they're looking for me online, that very much my character, who I am, what I talk about, what I believe in, is consistent all the way across all those mediums. When I pick up the phone, I don't say hello. I've got no idea who it is on the phone, and I don't have a business phone. I have my mobile, and our 1300 number goes to my mobile. So when I pick up the phone, you won't have me saying hello. You'll have me saying good morning or good afternoon, Inspiration Leaders, this is Catherine. Or thank you for calling Inspiration Leaders, this is Catherine. I always say it because I need that consistency there. The client needs to see that professionalism right from the very start. You need to also make sure that in all of your interactions you're represented as a positive, can-do person, and that everything you do in the online environment, live, over the phone, in printing, is building your reputation as the trusted expert in your field. Now, for those new coaches who are with us, if you don't have a field of specialisation yet, that's cool. When you do, you're going to start moving into it. But as of right now, guys, start cleaning up your online profiles. Think about what you want seen on your Facebook feed and what you don't. Get your LinkedIn stuff happening. This is where you really need to build, guys, a very solid professional impression of who you are and what you're interested in and what you're passionate about. Guys, I'll give you a little secret. I'm right into organic food and wine. I love it. It's a big passion for me. I have my veggie garden out the back. Very, very passionate about it. You will rarely see me posting pictures of glasses of wine or pictures of food, because that's not what my business is about. My business is about inspiration and leadership, and they're the two things that I post about most often in my online personalities. Can I get a yes that this is making sense for you so far, please? I want to hear from you guys, and I want to check in any questions at this point. There was one a little earlier. I'm just going to scroll back to that. How come, Ricardo, hi Ricardo, how can we know what their first impression the client perceives if we know what we are doing, if we judge what their perception might be? Yeah, so Ricardo is asking, how can we influence, how do we know what the client's thinking of us? We don't. And you're right, Ricardo, maps, right? But there are certain things that generally in society most people will consider professional and most people will consider unprofessional. So I think going down that sort of line of making sure that there's consistency, that your interactions are polite, respectful, positive, they're a good start, okay? And as for people's individual impressions, you're right, you can't influence those, but you want to minimize any issues by making yourself, by showing yourself in the best light possible. Okay, other questions? Yeah, Paul, great question, Paul. This makes sense. How about a second Facebook page under a nickname if you want to keep using Facebook? Yeah, Paul, I wasn't that smart early on. Our great leader, Doc, was. So he's got his personal account and his professional account. I currently don't have that. I'm considering making that move at the moment because my online presence has increased a lot recently with the book, and I'm thinking about making that move myself. So I'll keep you posted on that. But yeah, Paul, I think it's probably a good idea. Tamara, you can't monitor what other people are posting about yourself, but what you can do with Facebook and all social media is increase your security settings so that no one can post anything on your wall. Anything that you're tagged in, you have to approve first, and I highly recommend you do that instead of having your cousins or your friends posting rude stuff on your wall that you don't want your clients to be privy to. Yep. Okay, good. Great. Thanks, everyone. So I also want to make sure that not only in terms of the language, but also the images that you're choosing to use, and even right down to the colours that you're using in all of your online and printed representations of yourself. Make sure that there's some consistency. You'll see, for example, with our business, our colours have been very carefully chosen to appeal to a certain demographic, and those colours are the colours that we use on everything. So just have a think about that stuff, even if you're not even up to the point of having your website up yet, which I would hope most of you are pretty soon, because it's part of what we do with you is help you with that stuff. That you just think very carefully about the kind of stuff that you're posting. Make sure you have a consistent online presence on all the platforms. Now, in person, if you have an opportunity to meet your client in person, that's even better, because then you get to be the one making a wonderful impression. So you need to think then carefully about the kind of character that you're presenting through the clothes that you wear, the colours, the handshake that you give. I want everyone to practice a nice, solid, warm, friendly handshake. Great eye contact and a smile, using all of those wonderful rapport building skills that we know. And remember, at all times, it's about them. It's not about you. So all of this self-consciousness stuff, you've got to get it. What you've got to do is get it right and then completely drop it and forget about it, so that it's just a very natural thing. And then remember to concentrate all of your effort and all of your attention on the client and making them feel fantastic, because that's what we do, right, coaches? It's all about rapport building and helping the client become comfortable with asking for what they want out of their lives, and getting them comfortable with you so that you can help facilitate that for them. Okay. Yeah, great comment here. Ray, one of our new students, g'day Ray, has said that this is making perfect sense. By having a solid, consistent profile, you leave no room for gaps or room for doubt. Yes, I think this is very important, Ray. What you want to do, because your clients, you know, they're tech savvy, they're going to jump online and look for you, and they want to see a consistent, reliable kind of person who they feel they can connect with and trust. Now, importantly here, guys, I'm not talking about getting rid of anything that's got any personality whatsoever. I'm just saying let's think about treating, is exactly as Ricardo's just said, treat everyone as a prospective client, and just, you know, bringing that professionalism that you have at work now into your life, because this is the transition you're making. You're no longer just working at work. You're now working, guys, even when you're not working, because you are a coach, and there's a level of professionalism that goes with that sets you apart from everybody else. All right, so that's setting yourself up for success in a general sense. And now let's think about the first session that you have with a client. You need to make sure that you have that session in an appropriate location. What do I mean by an appropriate location? I'd love to get some feedback from you guys. Where have you coached before, especially for a first session? What kind of venues are you using for your first sessions? I'd love to hear from any of our experienced coaches. There's quite a few of you on the call. Just waiting for any answers there. Okay, Ricardo said he's coached in their homes. That's interesting, Ricardo. Let's talk about that in a moment. Glenn said in a coffee shop, but it was no good with nearby tables too close. Yeah, it can be a problem, Glenn. We'll talk about that in a moment. Enrico, on the phone or in a private house. Adrian, workplace, office or online Skype. Sonis is saying from home. Terry, private office. Daniela, cafe. Yasmin, I mainly do it on Skype. Beata, at my studio, which I have Oh, you've got an office, haven't you, Beata, which is nice, warm and comfortable. Wonderful. Beata, we all hope to be in that position ourselves one day. But in the meantime, yeah, look, guys, you can coach anywhere, but I want you to think carefully about where you hold your first session. Um, the kinds of locations that can be appropriate for coaching, public locations where you can find a nice quiet space, are things like, and Glenn, I'm going to say cafe or coffee shop, which can be great, but exactly as you've pointed out, you can have that noise problem. So one of the big tips I have for you is, if you are holding your first session in a coffee shop or a cafe or a restaurant, do your absolute best to get there early and snag a table in the corner or by the wall to minimise the amount of noise and distraction around you. I'll let you in on a secret here. I coach quite often in hotel lobbies, and they're beautiful. They're big and spacious. There's someone to bring you a coffee and some water. They're quite glamorous locations, and if you get a nice quiet spot in the corner, you can sit there all day and they'll just keep bringing you coffee and cake. It's actually a wonderful thing to do. So if you are anywhere near a decent hotel, or if you're near the city, some of those beautiful 5-star hotels and 4-star hotels have beautiful big lobbies that you can quite easily do business in. Yeah, so that's the kind of locations I tend to use. I do not coach in my own home, and I would not encourage you to do that. Just because of the energy that's happening in a coaching session, I think unless you've got a separate office, you really want to be careful about doing that. Coaching at someone else's home, also, I would caution you against that. I think an outdoor or public location or a private office is better, simply because of the imbalance. You want it to try and be a neutral space if you can. You want to make sure that your sessions, of course, are set up at mutually convenient times. And importantly, if someone's saying, oh, I could do 10 o'clock, or I might be 5 minutes late, then you need to move the appointment, either move it back by 15 minutes or move it to a different time, so that they're not going to be feeling rushed to get there and you're not going to be sitting there watching the clock waiting for them to arrive. As you start your coaching sessions with the client, you should already have a completed coaching agreement, pre-coaching questionnaire and payment plan already organised with them. Done, dusted, nothing to worry about or talk about on that first session in regards to that. That should be already completed. If it's not, then you conduct the first session under the agreement that that's going to be done at the end of the session, and then you leave 10 minutes at the end for them to do that with you in their presence. Okay, if you don't know what I mean by coaching agreement, pre-coaching questionnaire and payment plan, guys, for any of you new guys, I'm sure there's some information on that in your reading. So just jump into your reading there and have a look at those. In your first session, then you need to do a basic 5-minute welcome to coaching chat. So I think look, I've started lots of coaching relationships with people, and I've tried lots of different ways. I've used lots of different formats for this, but the basic flow of it, of course, is going to be the same for every client. So I think a really nice thing to start off with is congratulating the client for committing to making a change and acknowledging them for the bravery that took. For many people, the beginning of a coaching agreement is only after they've been struggling with something for quite some time. Maybe they've looked at other alternatives, they've attempted to make some changes on their own and perhaps not been happy with how that's gone. So you really do need to just initially congratulate them on making a great decision to do some coaching, saying to them, I'm really excited to be here with you, and I want to acknowledge you because I know it's probably not a particularly easy commitment to make. So, well done. You're already committing to yourself even more. You need to let them know that coaching is a conversation like no other. So linguistically, there may be things going on that seem a bit strange. Look, in fact, sometimes I might even say to you, hey, let's pause because I've got enough information and I just need to get your permission that you're okay with that and you understand that. This is also a judgment-free zone, so I want you to know that we're in a completely confidential and judgment-free zone, that anything you say in this session is judgment free. It means nothing to me, and I need you to commit that you're also going to suspend judgment of yourself. And guys, especially for the ladies, judging themselves, huge one. When you say this to ladies, quite often they get this huge look of relief on their face, because a lot of women are very harsh critics of themselves, and also high achievers. So if you've got those kinds of people that you're working with, saying to them that not only am I not going to judge you, but I ask you not to judge you as well, wonderful. Let them know that you're in it together, that you're committing to them to serve them, that and you then need to go into the rights and responsibilities of each of the parties. So this is where I usually talk about my responsibility is to serve you, to do everything I can to assist you to make the changes you want, and your responsibility then is to play at 100% and really commit to, you know, making the changes. And there might be times where the conversation gets uncomfortable or feels strange, and I just want you to commit to me right now that you're going to work through those with me. I want you to know I'm always here with you. I've got your back, and we're here to create some magic together and have some fun. So let's go for it. I also want you to know that if at any time during the coaching conversation that things are not making sense, moving too fast, or that you're feeling uncomfortable, you absolutely, as my client, have the right to speak up and let me know. So I want us to have a very open and honest relationship. So that's pretty much what I say to the client. And it just sort of sets the scene nicely. It certainly establishes you as a professional and someone who knows what to expect from a coaching relationship. And for many people, this is the first time they will have experienced it. So it really sets the scene nicely and just puts some parameters around the kinds of things that may happen in a coaching session. So that's setting up for success in the very first session that you have. Oh, and right now I need to ask everyone to grab a pen, and tonight's code for this class, yeah, I know it's right in the middle of the class, just grab a pen, you need to write this down for your assessments, 177 GSSF, 177 GSSF. It's up on the screen there, guys, if you need it. And you will need that for your assessments at some point later on. Paul, this is for us to be able to, this is a little fail-safe for us to be able to prove that everyone's listening to the entire class sets live. So you just need to have this available for your assessments and things later on. Okay, so just as you're making notes tonight, just pop that reference down somewhere, okay? Thank you. All right, so let's keep moving. What you'll find, Paul, is that they're interspersed throughout the classes because we like to have a little element of surprise and know that people aren't just popping in for the last 5 minutes for the code. All right. And can I just check in with everyone that you're all with me so far and that this is making sense? You're kind of getting what I'm talking about. You can see what I'm saying. Fantastic. All right. Thank you, guys. Wonderful. All right. So once you've established that relationship, so you've made the initial impression on the client, however that's happening, you then need to set yourself up for success at the start of the coaching relationship. And then the third level is you really need this to happen every session. And I want you to be disciplined with this, guys. I can tell you from my own experience without fail, the sessions where I don't do this with a client are the sessions where we have a mismatch in rapport, where we forget that it's a judgment-free zone. I think it puts a lovely line in the sand between casual conversation and now we're in that sacred coaching space. That's how I look at it. So look, always be 5 minutes early in case the client is as well. Pick a great spot, and if you can, try and be somewhere near a wall so that you can have the client facing towards you and you can be facing towards the client with the wall behind them. That way it minimises distractions. Ideally, you want to be facing into a corner. Make sure that you give them a friendly greeting, eye contact, handshake. Stand up Don't just sit there, stand up. This is a professional relationship. They are paying you professional dollars. Let's make sure that they're getting that service every time. As they're settling into their seat and getting themselves organised and putting their phone on silent and all of that stuff, just check in with them. Hey, how's everything? What's been happening for you this week? So nice sort of casual, 2-3 sentences where you're really just re-establishing rapport and getting the chit-chat part out of the way, because once you start that coaching session, you don't want to be having casual conversations about the week. So I just get it out of the way with 2 or 3 very targeted questions, and then bang, move on. The coaching session has started, and that's how to make sure that you're not just having 45 minutes of chit-chat as well, because the client's not going to pay you for that. Make sure you've always got water and tissues available, and I mean always. Even if you just carry those little portable packs of tissues around in your pocket or in your bag, it's surprising. Sometimes you can think that you're going to be talking to a client about something very, very practical, and it turns out that it's linked to a deeper something or other, and a little tear may spring up. Okay, so they cry. So what? Means nothing, but have a tissue available for them. Okay, it's just something to do to let them know in just another way that you are supporting them and allowing them to have an emotion that maybe no one's let them have for a very long time. So always have water and tissues available, and encourage your client to drink their water throughout the session to assist them with making those neurological changes that they're making. And make sure also that you assume nothing. Huge things can happen in someone's life from one week to the next. So always take a few minutes at the start to re-establish rapport, just get back into the client's world, get back into their map, and check in with them about what's happening. And then give them that beautiful verbal reminder that I've spoken to you about quite often. Remind them that you're in a judgment-free and confidential zone. Remind them that your purpose is to serve them. And I usually, in fact, not usually, I've started asking clients, what's your purpose for today? Just give me one word. What's your purpose today? And you'd be surprised actually what this does for them. I as you know, I'm a passionate advocate of thinking about the quantum world and in our coaching, and intention setting is really an incredibly powerful thing. We're going to explore that in a series soon. And asking them what their purpose for the session is like asking them to set their intention for the session. And when they do that, it's incredible that they will get that out of the session. So I usually just say, hey, my purpose today is to serve you. I know you know that, and I just wanted to remind you. And what's your purpose for today? Is there a particular word that springs to mind when I ask you what's your purpose today? It's amazing. They'll say clarity, fun, movement, get unstuck. They'll say all kinds of things, and it will give you a little hint about where the session's going to be going. Ask them to play at 100% and commit to themselves 100% in that hour. Ask them also to have fun with you and be prepared to go wherever they need to go to get the session happening, or to get the change happening that they want. Make sure that you have their permission to interrupt them or press the pause button if any stories come up, and make sure you get your 3 yeses to open their unconscious mind and get into rapport quickly. So the 3 yeses may be, hey, are you in a great space to be coached? Are you ready to make some fantastic changes? And are you willing to have some fun with me while we play with these ideas today? Whatever it is that works for you, find your language and find your sentences that are going to work with your style. For new coaches, guys, do you know what I did when I started coaching? I actually wrote out a little script and I just used that. I found a nice natural way to say all of this and just built it into a 3, 4, 5 sentence chunk, and I just scripted it, and I remembered the script off by heart, and it's pretty much the same script that I use now. Paul's saying he's working on his script right now. Awesome. Fantastic. And do you know, guys, as you know, I used to work in the luxury hotel world. This is how people give service in a luxury setting, those places where you're paying hundreds of dollars just to have a bed for the night, those places where you feel like you're being treated like the king or the queen, and those beautiful, eloquent greetings that they give you, they're all scripted and practiced right up to the hilt. So if you do the same thing in your coaching business, you're going to give your clients the same level of service. What a lovely way to think about it. Okay, so now let's look at closing your sessions. Closing your sessions, closing each and every session is a very important part, and you mustn't rush your sessions and then only have a minute or two at the end. Now, obviously, whatever the client needs, you give them, and if they're not finished talking about something, then you need to either extend the session or break it and come back to it next week. But you must have time at the end of your sessions to do these things. First of all, clearly define the desired end state every time, and then at the end you ask them if they've reached it when they have. So for example, at the start of the session you're opening and you're saying, hey, what's your purpose today, and what would be useful for you to get today? And they say clarity. That's a word that you need to write down or remember. And when you get to the end of the session, you say to them, so Tom, as we got into the session earlier today, you said that you were looking for some more clarity around this particular issue, and I'd love to check in with you. Is that what you feel now that you have gained? Tell me what's happening for you regarding clarity. So you ask them if they have achieved their desired state. Obviously, guys, the best time to do that is when you can see that they have. Yeah? What you're doing is drawing attention to their progress and asking them to notice what's changed. If you do this, their brain will draw the dots, it will join the dots between where they were at the start and where they are now, and they will see that they've made progress. If you do not do this process, they may not notice their progress, and their satisfaction level with their coaching session may be diminished. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you've done a bad job or that the coaching wasn't effective. It's just the way our human brain works. We enjoy thinking in gaps. We enjoy contrasting. So make sure that you draw their attention to where they were at the start of the session and where they are now. Acknowledge them and thank them for a great session, and make sure that you acknowledge them powerfully for anything that they have done in terms of becoming brave, stepping up, moving past boundary conditions, and so on. Always future pace 3 times at the end of every session. If you don't know what I mean by future pace, there is a future pacing class for you to listen to. It is a vital part of the closing of a coaching session. It cements the progress that the client has made, and it allows them to see into the future and take that change into the future with them. Failing to do this is a great disservice to all the work you've done in the coaching session. So the future pace is incredibly important. Action items are then something that a lot of clients will want. So they'll want to agree to, and have you voice for them. Okay, so what we've spoken about is blah, blah, blah. And so the actions that we've spoken about that I'd like you to commit to now are, next week you're going to do this, and then you're going to follow that up in a day or two with a phone call or whatever. Whatever the items are that they've agreed they need to do to make the change that they have come to see you about, hold them to account and restate those action items at the end of your coaching session. Again, failure to do this means that the client, who may have been highly focused in the session, may forget to do those items, and then when you come back and check in with them the next week, they'll feel a disappointment or a lack of progress. So restating their action items or commitments, even better, ask them to restate them back to you, okay? And if you've made any promises in the coaching session about information that you were going to get to a client, make sure you follow that up immediately. Do not go to bed that night without having emailed that information or quote or whatever it was that you said that you would give to the client, okay? And it's a lovely way of letting them know that you're thinking of them. Email follow-up is something you can easily incorporate into your packages that requires very little effort but is very meaningful for the client. So I encourage you to think about that. Okay, I'm going to pause here for just a second for any questions or comments. And I'm just seeing there's a question here. Ricardo is asking how long are first and second sessions? Good question, Ricardo. A session is as long as it needs to be. A coaching session can last as long as 20 minutes or 5 hours. It depends. For me, Ricardo, my coaching sessions nearly always go for between 45 minutes and an hour, sometimes an hour 20. My commitment to my clients is I'll stick with you for as long as it takes. But you'd be amazed how quickly a client can make change once you start working with them. So if you bank on about an hour, but my recommendation, my strong recommendation is don't book your sessions one after the other, until you get more of a feel of the flow of it, because some sessions can go over depending on what's happening. Okay, no other questions, so I'm just going to move on. And so then thinking about the conclusion of the entire coaching relationship. So how do you know it's time for coaching to be over? How do you know that it's time to set that client free and let them go and live their life? Now, as always throughout your coaching relationship, again, in this situation, the coach is going to lead the way in service of the client. What you'll find as you've been doing some wonderful coaching and relationship building and rapport building with a client is that they will come to think of you as a regular person in their life, their friend, their sounding board, okay? And you have the unique opportunity then, guys, to either continue with that relationship and have them pay you forever and a day, or to be a real professional and let them know when it's time for them to move on. So I know that Doc has the same view of this as I do. I don't want to coach a client forever. I'm not interested in having someone come and see me once a week for the rest of their life. I don't believe that they need that. My belief is that our clients are magnificent, that they're there for a fixed period of time, and that they can always come back if they want to reopen the door and work on something else. But if you're doing a great job coaching and the client's in it 100% with you, then most transformation is done within 4, 6, 8 weeks. So I think there's real benefit to having some kind of a package or an agreement around how long you're going to be spending with this client. It immediately makes the client believe, helps the client to believe and see that transformation is not going to take forever. And guys, this is one of the strong differentiating factors between coaching and other types of transformational modalities, is that counselling, psychotherapy, etc., hey, you can go and see someone like that for 20 years. But coaching is faster, it's snappier, it's quicker, it's more action focused. So I love being able to say to my clients, look, I think, by the time 6 weeks has gone by, we'll be able to achieve that, that, and that. And yeah, I hope to be saying goodbye to you at the end of 6 weeks. It's a lovely way for them to sort of go, wow, this person's confident, and I can feel moving into this that it's not going to be just forever. Of course, what you need to do, and this is again a very strong recommendation in terms of your business, you need to then have an ongoing relationship type package available at a different rate. So what I always do is I do between 4 and 6 sessions with a client as a package, and I then say to them, hey, if you want to check in with an email twice a month, then let's just say, however many $100 a month, just for that ongoing support. Or if you want to have a check-in session every 6 months, let's schedule our first one now, and that's going to be $500 or whatever it is. So what you can do is some kind of reduced sort of schedule maintenance with them. Clients love that, and it also keeps the door open if they need anything later on. So I highly recommend that, and it's a lovely way for you to sort of keep in touch with clients and keep it on that professional level, and it also helps them to know that you're expecting them to make this transformation pretty quickly. After that, it's just an ongoing relationship to support them. So in the final session, what you want to do, there's some very specific things you want to do. So you need to have a bit of a plan around this session. You want to consolidate for them all of the changes they've made. So this is a wonderful time to say to them, hey, let's talk about some of the things we've been through in the last 6 weeks. What are the things we've discussed? How's that working out for you now? Is there anything left unsaid there? No, fantastic. Oh, another thing we worked on was blah, blah, blah. Right? So you do a bit of a consolidation and a tidy up to make sure that there are no loose ends around any of the major topics that you've spoken about. And you have the client talk about the progress they've made and what it's meaning for them, for their life. You acknowledge them for making those changes, and importantly, you ask them to self-acknowledge. What would you like to acknowledge in yourself? What have you noticed in yourself that has grown and improved and changed? What is it that you like about yourself even more now? So ask them to voice those things. Give them a beautiful final future pace by 3 and finish with a strong visualization and some forward action planning. It just helps them feel that they're really going away with even more. It wasn't just a final session, they've even got some more stuff. They've got a beautiful visualization of where they want to head in the future, and they've got some plans to take them through next week as well. Only at that point do you then present them with a gift card with a referral. So the gift card says, as a thank you to you, I would like to give you this gift card, and the gift card allows you to give this to a friend. The gift card's worth $250. What it is it's a referral card, but you present it in such a way that the client says, wow, you're giving me a gift of a session worth $250. I can now give this to a friend of mine. And it becomes a lovely thing that you give to the client generously, and they then can generously pass on to a friend who can enjoy the benefit of a full coaching session with you. It's a lovely way for you to get referrals, and it also means that the referrals are coming to you, they're from very qualified leads. They're from clients who've already experienced something wonderful with you. So it's just a lovely way to spread the love, and it means that you have another potential client lining up at the door saying, hey, give me my free coaching session. And then you do a magnificent, beautiful coaching session with them, and if it's a suitable relationship, then you get them on board to be a client with you. I love to give my clients a thank you gift as well, and I have a few beautiful books that I choose from. My favourite one is Norman Doidge's book, The Brain That Changes Itself. There will be a lot of things in your coaching relationship that you will have spoken about with them, and this is a lovely way to give them the next level of awareness. So a beautiful book, a beautiful self-improvement book that's relevant for whatever it is they've been working with you on, is a lovely gift to give them, and even write in the front of it for them. I also love Deepak Chopra's books if I've been working on anyone with some sort of metaphysical stuff or health-related stuff. Yeah, there are lots of great books out there. So I think it's a really nice thing to do is give them a great book with a little dedication to them in the front of it, and it just leaves the door open for them to come back to you. It gives them something tangible to walk away with as well, which I think is a really eloquent, beautiful way to finish your coaching relationship. Okay, so at this point I'm definitely pausing to ask if there are any questions or anything you'd like to talk about. Okay, I'm getting some all goods. All right, so as you're thinking, typing, writing questions, what's the secret to making all of this work, guys? What is the secret to doing all of this and remembering to do all of it? Enrico's saying passion. Yes, Enrico, passion. Absolutely. The secret is, yeah, Paul. Paul was listening in base camp. Paul said there is no secret according to Doc. I agree, Paul. There is no secret. There's no secret to life or achievement or success. But there is a secret or a formula here that I would like to give you. Shirley's saying curiosity, good. Beata saying practice. Daniela saying preparation. Ricardo saying purpose. Frank is saying hard work and passion, be persistent. Tony's saying put the client first and be a servant for them. Tamara is saying confidence in their progress. I agree, guys. Beautiful. I love you guys. I love talking to you. It's all of those things. And more than anything else, the secret to getting all of this right is systemize it. Make yourselves lists. Have scripts. Get some shape and form around what you need to do in the beginning and the ending of your coaching relationships. Now, I'm not talking about massive checklists. I'm talking 5 sentences on a bit of paper to remind you that that's what I need to say at the start of my coaching relationship. And these are the final things I want to do as I'm concluding my relationship with the client. And you just have them somewhere in your diary, in your phone, and when you're getting to that point with a client where you need to be finishing up the relationship with them, just remind yourself of the steps that you need to go through and make sure that you've got them there. Systemize, systemize, systemize. Paul, you are very lucky you're AD after hearing that. And guys, if you're serving from the heart, you're going to do what the client needs you to do anyway. And what I would say to you is tonight's class has been about, there's some definite steps that if you follow them, it's a formula for success with the beginnings and endings of your coaching relationship. So please, the notes that you have from tonight's class and the handout that you have from tonight's class, find a way to build them into the systems that you're building in your coaching business, little tick checklists or scripts that you're writing. Just systemize it. And then you're guaranteed to get this, to be able to just tick it all off. And you know the really magical thing then is that you can concentrate on serving the client and making it all about them, serving from the heart. And then you don't have to worry, hang on, I need to go into my head, what have I not done? You've got it there on checklist in front of you, in your diary or on your notepad that you're working with the client, okay? Mona, the handout is always posted on Facebook on the day of the class, and it will also be available for you when the module pops, when the class pops into the relevant module, okay? But I know that Doc posted it on Facebook today. So just jump onto Facebook and print it out. Okay, so what time is it? Oh my goodness, we've only got 3 minutes left. But I would love to hear from you if you've got any questions, comments, anything that you want to talk about right now. Layla, can you please, can you put back, oh my goodness, Layla, let me see if I can get back to that slide, hang on. Oop, hang on. Okay, there we go. Thanks, Daniela. Ray for Facebook. Oh, he's joined Facebook. Wonderful. Well done. Ray, all you need to do is friend Doc Murdoch. Find Doc Murdoch on Facebook and friend him, and then you'll be able to connect with the rest of the community, okay? Frank is saying, yay, Ray. Good on you, Shirley. Okay, guys, so thank you so much for being with me tonight. I just am so happy to be back in session with you. I've missed you guys, and I really want to say thank you for your feedback and your input tonight. I do trust that you have found tonight's session useful, and especially for those beginning coaches, this is a wonderful framework upon which to hang your coaching success. So I'm going to love you and leave you if there are no more questions. Thanks, Terry. And guys, I will say a lovely good evening to you. Have a wonderful night. Go out and change the world one client at a time. And I can't wait to see you next week. Thanks so much and have a lovely evening.